Well, howdy ho, good neighbor. Today, we're flying high over Oakland, California, 35th Avenue. And as you can see, we got a homeless encampment fire. That's right. Last Friday, around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a fire started out here at 35th Avenue and Highway 580 in Oakland, California. That's right. This was only a vegetation fire, but it was a neighborhood fire. You can see all the trash on the ground from where the homeless encampment was. And you can see all the vegetation that got burned. But it wasn't only the vegetation that got burned, it was people's homes and cars and memories. That's right, it's sad to say that the homeless took out people's houses. Just imagine working all day on a Friday and expecting a nice weekend and coming home and your house is gone, or part of it. This is the second homeless fire that they have had at this location, and it's right next to a gas station. So I can't tell you for sure if this won't happen again, because like I said, this is the second one, and nobody is doing anything about the homeless encampments and people living next to the freeway. In San Jose, they had the same problem where people's houses were just totally burned up by people living in their backyards. You can see the white ash right there is where one of the big structures of the homeless people lived. And we've gotten so politically correct we can't even say homeless anymore. They're unhoused people. And I want to emphasize people, because we are all humans and these are people. They just got dealt a different hand than you and me. There's a nice trail that they used to walk behind these people's homes. But you can see that there is a lot of cleanup to be done here. Unfortunately, there's a lady that lives in one of these houses that's 74 years old, and, well, she cannot rebuild because she told me that she doesn't know how much time she has left on this earth. So no 74-year-old lady should have to deal with trying to rebuild her home. And there it is right there. That's the home that her dad built back in the early days. But now that this fire has come and gone, we have a rainstorm outside right now, and I could just imagine the mess that is being again put on these people. The trees are burned up, the houses are burned up, the memories are burned up, the cars have burned up, and they've even lost a couple pets. Thankfully, no lives were lost, but plenty of lives were disrupted. When I drove by here, I saw plenty of worker water restoration vans working on these houses trying to clean them up. And the lady that lives around here was passing out flyers that said, please call the Oakland Council to clean up this vegetation. She was positive that the unhoused peoples did not cause this fire. But like I've said before, the fire investigators did their investigating, and guess what? It was started by a homeless person. And that's what happens when homeless people fight with each other. They have a burnout. They burn each other out. So you got to remember that these people are not all there. A lot of them are mentally ill and strung out on drugs and alcohol. And this is what happens when you have insane people living right next to sane people. And this is what happens when they get into a fight. So if you live next to a homeless camp, well, beware of your surroundings, because they will burn up your house. Everything you work for will be gone in a matter of hours. We were just so lucky that this whole neighborhood didn't catch on fire. Just a portion of it. But look at that house. I don't know if that one can be saved. And this one, well, you know it can't be saved. That's where the old lady lived. I can't really tell you how I feel about these people that just take over the streets of our neighborhoods. What should we do? I always ask myself, what would Jesus do? You gotta have compassion for people, but in the same breath, you have to put your foot down and say you cannot live in the squalor. As I was filming there, I saw rats and other rodents that must have been burned out of the shrubs because they were running around just like in the middle of the day, which is kind of freaky. But like I said, I don't know what the solution will be to get our streets cleaned up. Do we need to rebuild mental hospitals? Do we need to force these people into some kind of drug rehabilitation? I just know with the influx of fentanyl and meth and cheap alcohol, with no jobs and no future, these people live a sad life. And I can't condemn them, but I can condemn their actions of burning each other out, because it's just not fair to the working, hard-working people that own these houses. And now they're crying and wondering, where do I go? And I know that insurance, you pay for insurance, but they don't really pay you back. They will fight tooth and nail over repaying you for your loss. But there it is, one mess created by one person. And I hope that one person gets caught, but you know that they won't. Because the homeless, or let me be politically correct, the unhoused peoples, they just move on to another spot. Where these people that live here, well, they cannot move to another spot. They have to sit here in their mess and figure out, why me? How come we didn't get any help from the city of Oakland to clean up this mess? Like I said, this is the second fire, and it had, and 2 years ago it almost burned down this neighborhood, and this time it did. So I cannot tell you what to do with them, or where to send them, or how to deal with it. I just know that this problem is getting bad here in Oakland. As I drive the streets, and I do a lot of driving with my job, they just take over whole neighborhoods with their RVs, tents, and the bay is getting polluted with untreated human waste getting flushed right down the storm drains. So if you think that all they're doing is just living in tents and minding to themselves, well, I think you would be wrong. They're polluting the bay with their untreated waste getting dumped down the storm drains. I've seen buckets just left full of human excrement, and I've seen bottles, and it's just nasty. So if you wonder why people are moving out of California and moving to other parts of this great state, well, United States, I should say, how united are we? And can we be united when people are so divided on how to deal with this problem? A lady came up to me while I was filming, and she had nothing but compassion. I have another take. I need to see a little bit more reaction than compassion, because it's just awful that these hardworking people have to clean up their mouth. Their whole lives have been disrupted by one person. But all I can do is document this problem, and hopefully I will never be there. But in this world, you never know what could happen to you. So I always fear that one day I could be homeless, or you could be homeless. So there's got to be compassion on how we treat this problem, because all it takes is one health emergency for all your money to disappear, or even an ID theft. You know, this is an electronic world where your money is in a bank or tied up in a 401, or where is your money? And if the power went out today, could you get it? I don't know. So the homeless people, they might be on to something. They might be on to living like the rest of the world might live someday, one scrap at a time. But they don't need to be burning each other up and creating such a mess. Well, where is the compassion, and what do we do? I don't know. Well, as always, I'd like to thank you again for coming along with me on these homeless burnout adventures that actually burn up a neighborhood. Thanks again for coming along, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.